Mapaaimwa. 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 What time it, or what time is it? All right. Mapaaimwa. That's what I said. What time? It literally translates to what time it, or in English, what time is it? Okay, ma at the beginning of a word is of or from. Pa'im is time, and the wa at the end of a word is it. It could also be he or his. Okay, what time it? Ma pa'im wa. What time it, or what time is it? Alright, that's just a little something to start off with. In today's lesson, you know, Lord's will, I want to cover what about that letter V? Alright, what about that letter V? Because we've been telling you brothers that that letter V has no place in the Hebrew language, you know. So today, Lord's will, we're going to go through this lesson and break it down for you to show you that that letter V is something more, really something modern. It's not really something that goes back to the ancient world. It's something more modern. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is I want to pull up this the letter V here on the Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, and we're going to read through some of this and show you some of the breakdowns, and basically go through some of the pronunciations, just so you can see that this letter V doesn't exist in the Hebrew language. And that's how you know that the Most High's name is not Jehovah, or how they so-called pronounce it in the Hebrew in the Blue Letter Bible, which we'll touch on that too, when they put the va at the end, which really should have been wa. Alright, so here we go. V from Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. V is a 22nd letter in basic modern Latin alphabet. See, basic modern Latin alphabet. Its name in English is V, and they have a little pronunciation here. You could hit it should just go to the pronunciation of that word, or that letter, should I say. If it doesn't, I'll go back and we'll just keep moving, because I have other pronunciations. Alright, so it's not acting right. Let me see something. Nope. Alright, so basically it says it's pronounced V. Alright, now here it says letter. The letter V comes from the Semitic letter wa. Right, it's really wa, or wa, I believe is hook. That's why they put the wow together like that, because the letter wa is Hebrew. The Hebrew name for that particular letter is wa, which means hook. Alright, as do the modern letters F, U, W, and Y. See F for details. In the Greek letter upsilon, Y was adapted for wa to represent at first the vowel U, as in moon. This was later fronted by Y, the font rounded vowel spelled U in German. In Latin, a stemless variant shape of the upsilon was borrowed in early times as V, either directly from the modern Western Greek alphabet, or the Etruscan alphabet, as an intermediary to represent the same U sound. Because you did have this particular letter in the ancient world, right, in the Greek language, because in the Latin, because they did use it in the, for Roman numerals, but the pronunciation of this letter was not V. That's just a modern vocalization, or a modern pronunciation of that letter. So it says here, to represent the same U sound, as well as a consonant W. Thus num, originally spelled NVM, was pronounced num, and via was pronounced via from the 1st century AD on, depending on vulgar Latin dialect. See, consonantal W developed into B, only kept in Spanish and Catalan, then later to V. That's why the Spanish language pronounces that V, because it was a modern pronunciation for the consonant in the Latin language. It says in Roman numerals the letter V is used to represent the number 5. It was used because it resembled the convention of counting by notches carved in wood, with every fifth notch double cut to form a V. During the late Middle Ages, two forms of V developed, which were both used for its ancestor U and modern V. The pointed form V was written at the beginning of a word, while a rounded form U was used in the middle or end, regardless of sound. So whereas valor and excuse appeared as in modern printing, have and upon were printed have and upon. See, so you got like the V looking thing there. The first distinction between the letters U and V is recorded in a Gothic alphabet from 1396. See, this is when they started that modern vocalization of that. It says where V preceded U. By the mid-1500s, the V form was used to represent the consonant and U, the vowel sound. See, so it started like around the 1300s, late 1300s, and then by the 1500s, they separated the U and the V. They made the U a consonant, pronounced U, and they made the V. They made the U a vowel, pronounced U, and they made the V a consonant, pronounced as V. Whereas to before it was pronounced as the U, or really the W sound, which we'll show you. I'll show you that. The vowel sound, giving us the modern letter U. Capital U was not accepted as a distinct letter until many years later. In the International Phonetic Alphabet, V represents the voiced labiodental fricative. C blah blah blah. Alright, so now I just want to jump down here. It says this letter, like Q and X, is not used in Polish alphabet. V is spelled with the letter W instead, following the convention of German. Alright, here you have other names which is going to give you other languages where this letter V is used in. So Catalan, V, pronounced V, but in dialects that lack the V sound is named V Bahia, B Bahia, low V. French V, German V, Italian V, Portuguese V, Spanish UV. Alright, it's recommended, but the VB is traditional. It sounds like a lot of gibberish, which really pretty much it is, but it's just breaking down the history of the pronunciation of this letter V. So they have to go back and forth between the W sound and the V sound, just to give you an idea of how this letter transformed from being pronounced as a W to being pronounced as a V. Further terms are needed to distinguish V from B. The letter B is sometimes in some countries is called V corta, V baja, V pequeña, V chica, or V labiodental. In other words, like a lowercase V. Alright, that's what all this means. V baja is like a lowercase V. In Japanese, V is often called Bui. This name is an approximation of the English name, which substitutes the voice, and basically it just keeps going back into the same thing, that the difference between the pronunciations in the different languages. Now what I want to do is, I have this thing here before I go any further. Matter of fact, you know what, this is from the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. Alright, now I want to show you the distinction between the classical Latin, which was spoken by the Romans, and them people back then, and the